Bad news indeed going on with the WWE Network. Yo, I don't care if it's the network's fault, if it's Sky Sports' fault, if it's Todd Chrisley's fault. The perception is bad for the WWE Network. We'll talk more as the hour goes on about the UK, about that entire debacle. But I want to talk real quick about, this is hashtag free, a month of free network to get new subscribers to try. And there's now no longer the 6-month commitment. You can cancel at any time. But they're doing this free month, and so Survivor Series, for the first time ever, a pay-per-view is free. What does that do to the pay-per-view paydays? How do the buys affect the paydays here for the boys? Now, that's been a topic that's been hush-hush, but asked and talked about by myself and other people since the network has launched in terms of how this changes the financial structure. There's no longer now people paying for the individual pay-per-view, but if they're paying in bulk and they're happy to get in the pay-per-view with the network, how does this affect the boys who make their money off of working events? That's what the money's in, working the events, working pay-per-views, and making money off of merchandise. So now you're going to give Survivor Series for free. Survivor Series, which is going to have a guaranteed 10 guys in the main event. 5-on-5 in Team Cena versus Team Authority. And, of course, you're going to have Wyatt and Ambrose. 2 more guys up there in a top-level match. Maybe it's a co-main event situation. So you're dealing with 10 or 12 guys in the main event. How is this going to affect their pay? So basically, because WWE, because the network hasn't been succeeding to their expectations, they're now going to make the rest of these guys take a huge sacrifice and hit. This is some troublesome times that the boys are certainly unhappy. The guys are certainly unhappy. They really can't say much. But let's read between the lines and take a look at this. This is a sign of desperation. And if it works, if this ends up helping numbers, and then the quarter 4 comes around and X amount of people subscribe, X amount of people try the November trial, and a good majority of them stayed on and now are paid subscribers in the future, well, then I guess it worked. But think about what we're sacrificing here. I mean, Survivor Series, because you already have 10 guys in the main event, and it's a team situation, we're probably going to have at least one more team match, you'd think. So Survivor Series probably behind Royal Rumble and maybe WrestleMania, but WrestleMania has a different kind of budget. Behind Rumble, Survivor Series is like the guaranteed pay-per-view that has to use the most guys. So he has to pay the most guys a pay-per-view bonus. I mean, what is going on here? But I will say this, in the midst of this free trial and this all-out blitz to get people in on the network right now, I will say last night, having Rusev versus Sheamus for that U.S. title on this After All post-show only on the network, I think that's a good idea. Because quite frankly, we've proven pre-shows and post-shows with this WWE Network really they're not that glamorous. Maybe the pre-show a little more because you're building anticipation. And, of course, you have the pre-show match, so that works to get people warmed up. Why not on a Raw situation? Give us a post-show match. Give us a match in the post. I mean, if you still got to give 3 hours to USA Network every week for Raw, do that. If you can't put Raw right on the network because of the contract with USA, fine. But there ain't nothing that says you can't put stuff right after Raw exclusively on the network, including the title match where the title changes hands. And this is good for Rusev, and it's good for the U.S. title. That was a good move by WWE. Hopefully that's another added thing that can help people get on board for this WWE Network. But WWE needs it badly. We'll talk about the UK debacle. We'll talk about Lucha Underground. There is a new game in town, folks. Speaking of new games, Global Force Wrestling. They announced their first event. We'll discuss that and all other topics as well. 412-320-7925. You got something to say? Say it to my face next.